You guys, tell me a little bit about the background of the project, right, of the company. What are we gonna start from? The Cipriani first? From you first? From the company? I don't know. I'd like to hear everything. You know.
Everything. So
let's go back. Where you were born?
Well, all right, let's go. I'm a Brazilian-born Italian family. So like I've been in the UK for 25 years. So it's been a long time.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like we're 1508 London. Let's start with that. How about that?
Let's do that. Sounds good.
1508 London we are a company based in London, like it says, exactly like it says on the team. But we now have set up like sort of a base here in Miami, but like sort of like we are about 150 strong globally.
150, wow.
Yes. We grew like even though we're teenagers now, like sort of we've been around like for 14 years.
14, okay.
But we started primarily in the residential market in London, like sort of like Mayfair, like Belgravia and other areas in London.
And 1508, this is the address of the office, or what is it? 1508.
It's not the address, not my birthday, but although I take like a gift in August, like I'm happy to. But it's a date essentially. Like really? It's a funny story about it.
Your birthday in August? No,
it's not really. I'm a Leo, but not in August.
When is your birthday?
I'm in January. So
in January. Okay.
1508, like a gift on my doorstep, no problem. I'll accept it. Thank you. Okay. But it's a date essentially. It's a year. We like the story because it has to do with like how we operate. 1508.
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci. Exactly. Like sort of essentially it's similar. Like but 1508 is the year that the Pope Julius XIV, 14th. Sort of set up like a competition in Renaissance in Italy, like for this little chapel that he was like, wanted to refurb. He put out a competition for people to come and tender some work, like, present some work. And then, the story goes that like people from all over Europe came over and showed like these amazing things, like all these artists and in comes this this young guy like with a pencil and say like, listen, if you want to do something right, we start from the beginning. And pick up a pencil, drew a perfect circle, freehand, and then the guy said, like, the Pope said, like, Signor di Dio, like, there's a sign of God that he's the one, and he got commissioned, and he started painting some frescoes in this chapel, and the rest is history. Essentially,
this how it started with the Leonardo da Vinci.
But it's not Leonardo. It's Michelangelo.
Okay.
You threw me there.
Okay, I threw you.
Michelangelo.
Okay, wow.
Michelangelo started like he did.
Michelangelo. Okay. So Michelangelo in the 1508. Wow, this is an interesting background. Wow.
Yeah. So essentially, like sort of, it's about like sort of having a project, something that needs to be done. A benefactor, like sort of like in this case was the Pope. Like, but then an artist that actually kind of like this little triangle is quite interesting for us. We love the idea like that we kind of like we can make a project happen, like sort of for our clients, and that's the philosophy really.
Wow, that's pretty. Interesting story behind it. I like it. Wow.
See?
It's interesting.
It's quite fun, right?
The thing is, why I like to do something like that, like we do right now, you always learn something, right? 1508, Michelangelo, and the story how it happened. It's pretty cool.
It's cool.
Thank you for sharing.
It's quite a fun thing. Like we love to share like the story because we are very egoless, like design studio. Like sort of like it's not my name above the door, not my colleagues, my fellow principals. We kind of work together. We like to think like that we can bring add value, like through design, really. And that's how we started. And I guess like this kind of mechanics really work for us because always the project is the star, not us. We like to think that we can kind of make your dreams or our clients' dreams come true. And so far so good. So far, so far, we hope.
Just maybe if you would be somewhere on the Mars, then it's better.
Yeah, this is it.
Just
you never know.
Asia, Europe, Latin America, United States. What else is left?
Well, we go slowly. Like we try to, we go where the cool projects are, and we like to think that we're very humble about our work. We try to do our best. Have an excellent team, like sort of multicultural. We believe in the power of design and being where the projects are. So hence like sort of like the growth was organic. We came to the US like in 2019 on our first project in the West Coast.
2019.
That's right. That's
just recently.
Yeah, that's right. Like sort of, and then we started working on the Mandarin Oriental residences in Beverly Hills, which was an incredible project for us. Completed last year. We have people living there now, which is awesome. We were chatting about it earlier on. But yeah, and then we are here in Miami, where we set up our base in the US, following that project, and here you are, like sort of like you probably can't see now, but there's construction across the road.
Cipriani. And let me ask you, have you done here in Miami like Waldorf or something interiors or somewhere else? Any other projects in Miami?
In Miami, we have some things coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, some private clients like that we talking to, and we're developing some work for them.
Okay.
Even in this project over here, we've been fortunate enough to be commissioned by some of the buyers, which is really cool to actually carry on the design, like sort of like customize, which is kind of something that is very interesting for us. Because like it's a continuation of the conversation, right?
Yeah,
like sort
of course.
Someone actually kind of buys into this dream, and like in the beautiful work that the Mass Capital has, put together, and the family, and it's nice to kind of keep the conversation going and make it a little bit more custom for each one of the clients.
Interesting. Did you speak Italian, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Did it help to land that client?
We've been very fortunate, right? Like to work with the family. They've been, gracious with us and very open. I guess like it's a family business, and as Italians, we really believe in it. Like, and that's something that kind of it's intrinsic to our culture, and I think like the legacy that the family built up to now is just a testament of that. Like sort of like of that unison of the appreciation of like the small things, the beauty in small details and service, and that kind of resonated with the family, I suppose. And we were all about service as well. We're service providers, but through design. So I guess like this marriage kind of like worked out well. We're very grateful for them and their trust in us. So. Good.
And location is perfect. And
I've been told.
Yeah, it's to have a Brickell site.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely eyeing out like for a possible move down here. But I love the area.
I know a good place where I can sell your apartment.
All right, tell me offline. So
okay, right here, Cipriani.
Well, there you go. I had my eye on a unit right there, but I'm still talking to Mass. Let's see.
Okay, let's see if
I can get a good deal.
Yeah. Look, personally, I really enjoy to see more. I would say European touch coming to Miami.
All right.
I of course I'm from Russia. I do enjoy more European type of food. And everything else. Yeah. By the way, there's a neighborhood. You can call it neighborhood, but kind of neighborhood on 79th Street and Biscayne. There is a few Italian restaurants open up. Very nice. One is Osteria.
Okay.
Very nice. They have like almost 4.9 star reviews out of like few hundreds. Very good. Everybody's Italian, of course.
Check it out.
Very good build out, but it's not like a fancy places.
Right.
They more like
just
a moms and pop shop. Exactly. Okay. Then you have another one, Belle or something. It's a really good one. We went there for I think the Christmas, prior to Christmas Day, like December 25th or something. Cool. We had a pizza, pasta, then something else. And we wanted to have a dessert, but we were like so full. And
that's the thing, like that's how you roll.
But they had a creme brulee. And I asked the guys, can I take it with me? And then he's like, it's in a glass dish, you cannot take it home. I'm like, maybe I can take it, I'll bring it back tomorrow. Let me ask the owner. Owner is coming, like, look, I want to order it, but I want to take it back, but we're so full. He's like, yeah, just take it. And he gave us dessert in the dish.
Did you give it back?
Of course. I brought him back next day with a bottle of champagne. He's like,
how amazing. And you see, like, that's the kind of thing, like, it's the trust, right? Like, it's a family business. You kind of like, okay, what are you going to do with the glass? Like, sort of, you kind of come back. And I guess these things, like, sort of, like, especially the family, the Cipriani family, they believe in service, right? Like this little touch, like it makes you kind of like connect with it.
Yeah, of course.
You even brought yourself like
I came there already like multiple times.
Do you know what I mean? And it's almost like an invisible thing. I don't think you can teach these kind of things. It's like sort of
you have to feel it. It's just how the things work. Like for example, I went to one of the developers. I'm not going to mention the name, but I went to one of the developers. We discussed about the marketing budget, right? And he said, yeah, let's do this, and then I'll cover it. I was like, okay. And he asked me if I want to sign something. I said, no, we just shake hands, That's enough for me, We shake hands, it's good. Of course, if there will be something more bigger, we'll create a contract. But, some things I think has to work like that. You have to trust people. You know?
And it's one thing like that is very. It's something like you talk about the European, like, and back in the day, that's how business were made, right? I suppose, like, we grew up, like, things like got bigger, and but I think, like, sort of taking a few steps back and to the roots of, like, how we used to do business, like, I think, like, it's a great thing, and I do believe, like, sort of, especially in this project over here, I think, like, sort of, like, they were really hands-on, like, sort of, like, it was about, like, looking at everything, like, checking everything out to make sure that whatever, like, sort of, whatever people actually interacted with, like, they had a go first, so that,
they have their name on it.
They were safe, like, sort of that it was going to be a cool experience. There's a cool funny story actually. Like, now you say it, but it's we were designing, like, sort of the spa for the development, which was
we're here,
which is not something that you kind of can reference from other properties, right? Like, sort of, we have, like, other spa areas like Casa Cipriani in New York, and but for the residences it's quite peculiar because we didn't have a reference to look out, like, sort of, we're a hospitality brand, but there's no many spas around.
That's true.
But we thought about, talking about, like, taking a few steps back and kind of, like, revisiting, like, sort of, like, memories from the past, or perhaps, like, this service in its core and in raw form. No? We asked ourselves, like, what would Mr. Cipriani do if he went on holiday and try to actually relax and, like, rejuvenate and kind of recharge, like, to go back and continue doing this amazing, food and drinks and service. And when we in Italy, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but, like, when you go to the beach and you go to, like, the seaside, often you have, like, private beach, but like, the one that are public, you go, like, sort of with a family perhaps on the side, and you often have, like, rocks and, like, a really big, like, sort of rocks. And we thought to ourselves, like, okay, I think if Mr. Cipriani, like, went there, like, he probably, like, put his little towel on the rock, and sunbathe for a little bit, and like, maybe have a drink in there, and etc. And like, we thought, like, oh, that's a really cool thing. Like, we thought about the rock and how it will feel underneath your skin. And one of the materials that we chose for the main materials that we chose for the spa here was, like, this rock face marble, which is really beautiful, like, very elegant, but is heated, so, like, just to emulate, like, this, like, sort of
so cool
watermark feeling, so only the people that went there before, like, will have known, but it's something, like, you kind of, like, a reminiscent of those type of things,
like,
right?
Like, flashbacks to throw, especially as you said, in the spa there is, unfortunately, in Miami, it's not that many options. I don't know why. There's a lot of really great buildings, but spa is not that popular. You go to, I have friends, a lot of different buildings,
really?
And you go to some building and there is just a small steam sauna, and that's it. Look, but the spa, in my opinion, is something that recharge you. You go there, you just spend time without phone or something. It's just recharge you.
It's super important
in a busy environment like here.
It's super important, and, like, and like, sort of, it's an expectation, I suppose, like, as well, like. But like, I just thought, like, that was a cool story, like, that we didn't have that, like, sort of, like, to reference, and I suppose, like, now hopefully when people go back to Italy, for instance, like, because they'll be able to experience this.
That's interesting. Those details.
I certainly did it before, and I'm looking forward, when it's done, to actually come and check it out.
That's the best part of my job. When the building is finished, I guess your job as well, right? You go there and you see, like, okay, that's nice.
You get the end bits, right? Like, I can see you everywhere, kind of, like, enjoying, like, these things. Like, that's super cool. Like, I have a few years to actually get it done, but definitely.
We're patient enough,
Definitely coming back for it.
To wait for it. Tell me about your background. So you are from Brazil.
I'm from Brazil. I was born in Brazil. I went to British school back home, and I mean, like, I sort of, like, I suppose, like, I was always drawn to beyond, like, sort of, like, to go somewhere else. Like, I actually got into design through theater, actually, and theater production. I was an amateur actor for a little while, but I decided, like, for the luck of everyone around, that perhaps, like, the production was, like, my vein, and I started doing that as a kind of hobby in the school that I actually studied, like it was a British school. Like they had like sort of this program bringing artists and sort of like a cultural events to Brazil to promote like the English language, and I got involved with that, like sort of licensing quite a lot of like the plays to come to play there, and that was really cool. And I got into production, and like there was a competition one day to bring people that never spoke English to actually rehearse and actually do a play in English. And I invited some of my friends and people that I knew. And for my luck or destiny, I don't know, like these friends of mine, they won like sort of the prize, which was like sort of 1 week course in London, like sort of in actor school, which was really cool. And I literally got an ultimatum then. I said, listen, we want this, but you have to come. Please come. And yeah, to cut a long story short, I went. And
how old you were back then?
I was 18 years of age, kid. And
from Brazil to London.
To London, yeah. Wow. And never came back.
Brazil, what part of Brazil?
São Paulo.
São Paulo, okay.
Which is where we have another office now. Like we went 360, the whole thing. I left in there, and then now here in America, like our offices are like both in Miami and in São Paulo. And we're looking to West Coast as well. But 25 years later, it's just it's a long way to go. And and in London, like I did everything from theater to London in fashion as well for a long time, working for LVMH, for Louis Vuitton and other houses, doing windows and displays. That's kind of like what we how because the theater production really helped me with that. And I don't know how it happens. Like, it's a funny thing, but destiny kind of like calls you, right? I had like a good friends like that were architects, and they always told me like sort of you should definitely look into design and because there's something there, like if you ever want to train, I think like you should ask my opinion, they said. I think like that I'll highly recommend it. And one day I decided to take the plunge, go for it. And it's a dear friend of mine, Luigi, and he my first month of university, he called me up and said like, listen, we just landed a big job. I'm desperate for people. Would you like to come and gain some experience in the office?
Wow, first month.
Then he's I kid you not, like sort of I did my whole university course at work. Like
look, this is the best way of learning. To experience, hands-on.
It's insane. By the time like I finished my first degree, I did 2. We had finished like sort of like this was a Crown Estate renovation, and then a client had purchased like sort of a property out of the Crown Estate in London. With the complexities of like sort of like listed elements, and as well as like the
like historical preservation.
super historical, and a beautiful project. But it was baptized by fire for sure. But I'm very grateful for that. Like sort of like that kind of like got me insights on what to look for in the course. Like sort of like that were really relevant. So I kind of like dived into that a little bit and more than other things. And I think like sort of like by the time I finished the 2 degrees, I was like, okay, like we had done so many projects at the time, and but I love it. Like that was one of the things. Like if you do what you love, like you can't go wrong, I suppose.
You're just doing it, and that's it.
How did you get into like a property?
Real estate.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I guess, by luck as well. When I moved here, I was 21. Yeah, 21 when I moved to Miami, to States when I was 20. I didn't speak English, of course. I came here for summertime as the work and travel. There was a program, you come here, you work, and then you go back to Russia or to your country.
Right.
It's a work and travel, but we call it after work and stay. So that's what I did. Yeah, okay. I stayed here.
You worked?
Yeah, I worked and I stayed. And then I moved to Miami. In Miami, I worked first probably like 5 years, like 4 years. 4 or 5 different jobs, like everywhere.
Right.
And then my last job, I was working at the Mr. Chow restaurant. By the way, he had in London as well, right?
Fantastic, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Back then, he was a super energetic guy. Like back then, he was 73, but so much energy.
Amazing.
And I was working there for 2 years. I started as a bosser, then I moved to waiter.
Right.
And I've heard from a couple of people that about real estate, that it's kind of booming.
Right.
You don't need to get a lot of education, like a few years. You just get a course,
right?
And that's what I did. I passed exam. I got education first, like a course. Then I passed the exam.
Wow.
After like 5 or 7 tries, I didn't do it from the first time.
All right.
It took me some time.
You really persisted.
Yeah. I'm the type of guy. I'm always like pushing, no matter what.
Check it out. Awesome.
And then once I passed it, I started working from the first day. And the same thing as you did, as you said, you feel like
it just flows, right?
Exactly. Like the first day, when I try, I'm like, wow, this is
it.
I'm like, okay, that's
what
interesting.
What was I waiting for? Yeah. It's funny, like when you land, like I see this with the teams as well. Like it's just we do it out of passion, right? Like sort of, if you don't have a little passion on like what you do, especially with property, I think like you have to get excited
of course.
by it. Like sort of like and I always say like to the teams, like we're so lucky that we get to draw all day long, and we actually kind of like sort of tickle people's like sort of imaginations and stuff. Like we get excited, right? Like so it is exciting. If you don't get excited first for the job that you're doing, like you're never gonna succeed. Like so if you're doing what you like,
of course.
You just kind of
have to get
shows. It just shows.
Especially in our business, when like for example, you create something that people like. I do it on a daily basis, and I can see through the pictures, right? And with experience, it comes same as you, right? But for someone who are first-time buyer, right, or like end user who does not doing it on a daily basis, for them you have to really create that picture, and they see it and they visualize, and for them that's what they buy, right? They buy the picture, right? Pretty much, right? The concept, picture, and ideas.
I find it such a massive responsibility, like it's someone's definitely aspiration. You're dealing with them like sort of coming to Miami, wanting to live in Miami, but they don't have like sort of like perhaps the tools or like sort of like the what's that? How can I get it around? So like you actually facilitate that, right? Like sort of like in our cases, I suppose like sort of I don't take this for granted one bit, and we always like talk about it in the studios, like sort of like it's someone's aspiration, someone's dream, someone and someone's coming to you help with that. Sort of how cool is that? Like to actually kind of pick it up and develop like sort of like that can be a brand, that can be like sort of an end client, like a private client or a hospitality brand.
Look, especially on your side, like for me, for example, how to say that? I understand my side, right? But for your side, I'm looking at it. Look, you guys creating really dream for example, if the Cipriani family, you created the dream like 80 stories buildings, right? But for end user, just for one buyer who are working on his residence for I don't know, for himself, maybe for his family, this is his dream. He puts time, effort in it, and you guys create his vision.
It's super important for us. Like I think we treat like sort of private clients like sort of like with everyone, I suppose, like with the same respect. It's someone's aspiration. It's a brand's aspiration. In Cipriani is a legacy of 40 plus years. And, like we need to be able to protect that. And we're very grateful, like sort of, but also like sort of, we don't take it for granted the responsibility that is, if that makes sense. And that kind of involves all sorts of different levels, right? Not only like like sort of to make sure that the projects run smoothly, and also like so within budgets, and we follow some sort of like a framework, but also to push essentially, like sort of like perhaps ask the questions, like inquire, not be shy of perhaps like inquiring something like that perhaps like the person is not seeing. So there's a cool dynamic that happens in there, and but we get to do it every day, which is super cool. And I never take it for granted, for sure. And I think like sort of like within the studio, we try to always wear the t-shirt, so to speak. Like sort of you are holding that responsibility. So far like we'd like to think like that we're doing something cool, but there's a lot to go.
Carol, you want to say hi to us?
Hi, Carol.
Hello. Nice to see you too. I'm sorry. I'm cracked.
This is it. But that's cool. That's cool.
How's everything? Good.
That's great.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Impromptu.
Yes. Mike behind the camera, like always. Good to see you guys.
I see you guys doing this before. So.
Yeah, we were having a great time. Nice to see you both. The best top producers.
He's the best, right? Like
thank you, Carl.
So you.
In great hands together.
Thank you, Carl.
Leo, let me ask you from I would say my personal question, right? Curious how long it takes for revisions, for everything, project like this. It's a big project, right?
Right.
It's one of the biggest projects here in Miami, right? In this area, it's 80 stories. It's really big. So just curious how long it takes, revisions and everything.
Right.
Year, 2 years, 5 years, 3 months. 1 day, of course, it's not 1 day. It's like, oh, guys, here's your project. Buy it.
It's a conversation, right? Like, so it starts with a meeting. Well, we started talking with the family and with Mass in 2022.
22, okay.
So 2 years down the line, like, so we're here. We broke ground. So this was a very fast-paced program.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I think it went fast-paced because like there were synergies. I think like sort of projects sometimes like they kind of get intricated, like or stalled at times because more often than not, like there are all sorts of different factors that can kind of come into it, like sort of like from permitting, from like sort of budgeting, like but I guess in this case over here, I think everyone had a vision, and the Mass Capital was very clear. Camilo was very clear that he wanted to actually kind of like really set some benchmarks for Miami, for Brickell, for the community, which we really embrace, and I think like it's amazing. His philosophy on development and how he pushes the business forward, and but also the family kind of like bought into it in terms of like what we just discussed now, like sort of you have to be able to kind of like take what people are saying, listen, active listen, and I say this more often than not. You have to pay attention to what people are not saying.
Yeah. You have to read between the lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like
because you have in your business the same thing, right?
100%.
Okay.
100%. Because like sort of that comes from body language. That comes from like sort of in between the lines, like you mentioned. Yeah. Like and sometimes like especially when a brand is very established and when you've been doing it for a long time. Like in this case over here, we didn't have a recipe book, so to speak. Like so how we will take it was about understanding like sort of like how we operate, like sort of what we really want. It's not it can't be extremely ostentatious. It has to be like sort of like a contain on materiality, on how like sort of we interact with things, how things touch, and but still needs to be sophisticated and kind of elevated. So asking the questions about like where's our limit and try to push a little bit further. I guess like sort of this mechanic really works with like a Mass Capital on one side and like I guess the family on the other. Like that's why it took like these 2 years to actually be where we are. But some projects take a little longer, sometimes less.
I totally understand.
But
depends how you collaborate with the client, right? Like I can give you from my example. Sometimes I see people are not here and they need to do renovation or something in their house or condo. It depends on the communication between the owner and then the team. Maybe they will communicate once in a month, once in a week, or maybe they communicate on a daily basis.
And nowadays with this like sort of like a Zoom world that we have, right? Like sort of like this video conference in post-pandemic. Like I think like sort of it's very important for us to really active listen, because sometimes we don't have like sort of we hear now. It's amazing to see you. Like we having a chat is great. Like sort of you get a lot out of this interaction, right? But sometimes when you're in the camera, like when you're perhaps talking to a client that wants to come to Miami, etc., you don't have that. So it's definitely a skill nowadays that people are developing, and we really try. Like it's funny. It's funny this because like sort of like I remember like the Mandarin Oriental in Beverly Hills. We designed that throughout the pandemic. I just remember now, like, cause like that's relevant to this chat because I remember vividly in London, we were designing this like sort of like, over Zoom, because like it was the height of the pandemic, like sort of like, no one knew how to do it, like, but like, especially in architecture, like we need a table, a pencil, and we need to kind of like put drawings on the table, like, and look at materials, etc. But we learned, and I guess like sort of the skill of listening, like sort of in reading between the lines, I guess is one that became a little bit more in use and fine-tuned to kind of like and I think like sort of like that's the future really, like that's how things are progressing. There's all talks about AI nowadays, like in our industry, there's all sorts of different technologies coming up and whatever. But I'm not really fazed by it. I think like bring it on, because you're never gonna beat the interaction, like sort of like a
personal touch.
A personal touch. Like nothing's gonna be able to really feel, like what the other person and the brand, the family, like anyone is saying. So that kind of like is gold dust, and hopefully will be a nice balance between like sort of utilizing these like tools and stuff like that.
All these technologies, I agree with you, we have to utilize AI, all of it. Some people, they do kind of afraid of it or something, but it's already here. It's just if you accept it, right, or you go against it. If you accept it, you figure out how it works, how you can use it in your life, in your business. Like even with AI in my business, I remember when ChatGPT came out about a year ago, maybe over a year ago, I started doing articles on that.
You did? Okay, cool.
So, and I had a Kathy, she's helping me with the PR.
Yes, I met her.
Prior to ChatGPT, she sent me something like, hey, I can get you here. I need answers to these questions. Honestly, for me, once I'm like super busy as everybody else within a day, I'm getting her message with the questions, and I'm like, my brain is like pop, like wow, so many. What I'm gonna write it down, it's like for me to see it and write, to type it in, like I don't know what. It's just not my thing.
Right.
I have other skills, right? And it was a kind of deal breaker.
Fantastic.
But then when the ChatGPT, she sent me, I didn't even tell her. She sent me questions. I put it in ChatGPT. ChatGPT gave me answers. I sent it back to her.
Wow.
I just deleted the last part where it says, you better consult with with advisor or something like that.
Wow, okay.
And then she sent it.
Sped things up a little bit.
Oh my God,
amazing.
You don't even imagine. It was synchronized by CNBC, Yahoo Finance, Google. So we create one article and it's just synchronized to 20 different platforms.
That's amazing.
And I've been able to create like 30, 50 articles within like few days, pretty much.
This is
just
insane.
Like that, quick.
That's the thing, like sort of this is awesome, like sort of, but it still needs you. It still needs you to kind of go there, because otherwise you lose its soul, right? One thing that I've noticed quite a bit like recently is just that you can really tell when it's an AI image or like sort of like something generated by something, an algorithm.
Like a program.
Because even though like the results are really impressive, like I think you can get something really cool out there, but you lose the je ne sais quoi, like that, the
like a little personal touch, human touch.
The human touch.
Do you know
what I mean? Like it's something invisible sometimes. But if you get it, you get it.
Of course, you just, in my opinion, right? You always have to add your human touch. As I said, you just delete part. Of course, some of the words you replace.
Like you were editing the text
like it was
and stuff
me.
like that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be like
It's
Denis
like a car. When you drive a car, now we have a Tesla with autopilot, but prior it needs driver, right?
Yeah.
Same thing here. It needs driver. So you're a driver of this technology, and then it's up to you. You can. It's like a salesperson. I was on my way here training my guys on the phone.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And it's everybody has a different way of doing things, right? Yeah. You can progress. You can learn something, and you can come up with your future you, right? A better you. Or you can stay at the same level. Same thing with those technologies, right? You can you can use it and it's going to be super plain and people is going to see it's just okay. It's just it's a chat GPT, you know. Or you can add your personal touch, your human touch.
You always have to drive it. Like that's the thing. Like you just say, like about autopilot. Like you can press it on.
Yeah.
But you're definitely going to keep an eye on it. Like right. Yeah. I wouldn't really trust it like 100%. Like and it's an interesting thing. We're super open. Like. To those things, I think like we definitely utilize in design like for testing and I'm excited for like sort of like the development of this because I think you'll put artistry like to the fore as well, if that makes sense. You know, like you will really be able to kind of like separate like sort of what's artificial to what's kind of does it make sense? I tend to, think about like sort of like the past, like sort of how painters used to do that work. It was a very scientific way of like sort of developing art. Like they had the measures, like they actually kind of had
like mathematical
things. Like we mentioned Da Vinci, like sort of like you can analyze like sort of like this, like, and there's all sorts of different articles about it, right? That was Renaissance, like sort of like sort of back in the day. They were. So I guess like the point is there's technology everywhere. Since
it was technology back then, right?
Since the beginning.
Mathematics, it was kind of technology.
But that work, that body of work is valued or, is still like valued and appreciated today. You see what I mean? So I guess like sort of the eye of today, I suppose, like sort of is just going to help us to create like a masterpiece.
Go a different level.
Yeah, to take a step up a notch, I suppose. I don't know.
Exciting. I'm sure it's very exciting, and I'm sure we'll go to different, I would say,
amazing
era, or we'll see. But it's changing drastically, right? Yeah. As long as people is going to adjust, because as I said, it saves a lot of time,
100%.
Saves a lot of effort. You can put that time somewhere else. And as long as we're not afraid of it and we're not against it, then we can use it anywhere. Like,
I'll check out your articles now. Like I'll keep an eye for them and read them.
It was
very
helpful, helpful to do. Yeah, with the AI right now, we even do campaigns, digital campaigns for ads, and AI. His name is Chris. Cool. So he pre-qualify leads through like conversational, right? Cool. And once the person says something that we see, okay, he's ready to move forward and talk to someone, then we connect it to real person, and that real person takes it from there.
So it just kind of like it takes in the inquiry first.
First stage, because there is a lot of like.
It's been around for a long time, this type of technology, right? Like sort of, it's just like, I suppose now with the enhancements on this, I think like you can do quite a lot more.
Now you can educate it. You can feed, for example, database of properties. We send them a lot of new developments, so he knows new prices and everything.
That's cool.
Then now we're trying to connect to MLS, that he's gonna know like whole database in Miami. It's going to
check it out. That would be nice.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's interesting, to learn all that stuff.
Super.
It's very interesting.
But they'll still need you. Then it's like for sure.
No matter what,
which is a good thing. I suppose.
It's good that
everyone gets a bit of your time.
Yeah, but we can use our time for something else, right? As go to spa, for example, as
family,
spa, family, exactly. But the thing is, what I realized, right? If you hands-on the things, right? 24/7, then when you're gonna have time to create something in your mind, like what do you call Newton, right? I think he was sitting under the tree and
the apple fell off.
Exactly. So he was like not doing nothing, right? He was thinking in his creative type of mood,
taking
right?
5.
Exactly. The same thing here. If we are always like working creating something, then our brain is busy, right? We need like a free time when there is a new ideas coming in.
I suppose like this is kind of a cool thing about it, like sort of that one can utilize for buying yourself time for creativity, time with family, time with like why not? Like sort of and that's kind of super exciting. I mean, like controversial in many aspects. Like I think like sort of, it can be used in the wrong way, I suppose. But if yes, for those things, 100%. That'll be really, really cool.
Yeah, and everything can be used in a different ways, unfortunately, right? That's reality. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully everything's going to be okay.
I'll check it out. I'll try to reach out to your bot.
Okay.
Good.
Sounds good. Leo, thank you very much for your time, my friend.
This has been amazing. As always, we've been trying to do this for a long time, right? Like I'm glad we finally met.
Yeah. For how long are you here?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow you're leaving. So where are you going now?
I'm going to London. Back to the head office. So for a few weeks, and then I'm back.
How many flights a year you do?
A bit.
Like all over. I can imagine.
A bit. But yeah, I'm trying to see like sort of my next location. I'll probably be in Miami a little bit more often. So
you like it here?
I love it here.
Love it.
I think like everyone's fantastic, and it's definitely like a funnier than London. I'm not gonna lie, and but it's just like sort of like we have the team in here. We have an incredible team, and just trying to spend more time with them, and really like focus on the market here. So
plus, I guess when you travel, it's like every location can get boring, even Miami. But when you travel, right, you spend winters here and you travel here or there.
I don't think Miami can be boring.
No, but I'm saying if you like.
But if you say so, like I know, I'm just
not like a boring.
I'm a newbie in town, but like it's so busy and there's so much energy at the moment, and I think like we just need to be around, harvest it, like sort of like meet people like yourself, and we have an incredible project ahead of us, and a site to oversee. So it'll be really cool. All right. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.